And then
Yeah.
it will take you to full screen.
Yeah.
But there, I believe you maybe by pressing escape once only. I'm not
Can you
sure.
see? Oh, I'm not sharing. See, now I can't even share because I have to go through my whole slideshow to get out of it. I don't have
Press
any
escape on the keyboard. Press escape.
okay, from beginning. Press
But
escape.
if you
There.
have your entire
Okay,
screen,
it did work. It did work.
yeah. So that
Okay.
escape button on is what will get us out of
Okay.
sort
Out of
of.
the big thing. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Merida. I appreciate
And
you a
sometimes
lot.
it doesn't work for me, or I get brain fogged or blocked
Yeah.
because I get
Well,
oh my God, oh my God.
that's where I'm at. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Did I share my screen now?
Well, do you want to start off with showing your face though?
Yeah.
Okay, so don't share screen yet.
But you might want to practice. If you want
Yeah,
to
you can
practice, you go ahead.
practice. Yeah, if you want to
We have
practice.
2 more minutes. So
Yeah. And I've been messaging people in the waiting room
thank you.
because some signed on 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I hit share screen and nothing is happening.
Mm. Okay. So it's good to that we
Share.
practice.
Yeah.
Well, no, let's see. It says loading. This is no good. No, 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 that's not what I want. Oh, that's share, not share screen. So
Mm.
see, I'm not in my Zoom. There's Zoom. I have to be in
Okay.
Oh,
Zoom.
right.
That's a good start.
Yes. Be in
It's a
Zoom.
big start. God.
And probably because you
Ah,
made your window smaller or something. That's how you left it. But now try sharing screen. Hi,
hey,
Morgana.
Morgana.
Hi, Jan,
We're
How are
just
you?
testing.
Jan, and
Yeah.
Steve. Yes, yes, I can hear.
Okay. Now try sharing screen.
Right.
Please
There. And then I would go to
share
full screen,
presentation. Full screen here. Yeah.
but it's not. Can you see full screen or do you see my
No,
slides at the side?
we don't see your slides at all. So
Oh,
I,
good. Well, this
I,
is good.
oh, okay.
click share from the beginning. I don't, is it from the beginning? Is
Well,
that what we,
now it's
because presentation is usually at the bottom. That worked. There you go. So you did
okay.
that, right?
Okay.
And you press escape on your keyboard to get out of it.
So I'm out of the big thing.
Yes, now we can see your entire PowerPoint presentation.
So I stop
Steve, you want
share.
me to admit people?
Not just yet.
Okay,
So
just checking.
yeah.
And I'm okay with being
Mhm.
real and
Right.
dumb. I
And
And I
yeah.
just wanted to mention another thing. It's a good idea to have my Read AI meeting on because I have been able to download all the most of the videos, except for number 6, which you didn't allow in on yesterday's.
So I don't know why you didn't get yesterday's though, because I didn't cancel your AI recording.
Okay. Someone seemed to.
and
Oh,
I
You
have
did?
I think Morgana canceled it. I think she was
No,
signaling.
no, no.
No.
I got it. I popped it in our Steve and
Oh,
Merida. I put the notes in the WhatsApp group.
The notes, but what we want is the video.
the
No,
video
the video.
recording.
Read doesn't. It only
It
uses the
does.
recording for
I
audio.
pay for mine. I pay for mine, honey.
Okay, okay. I just got
I
the
pay for
summary
mine.
note.
So
Okay,
I have the paid version, and so it's actually worth having that as a backup. I
okay.
believe the Zoom recording is always best, but like yesterday, it was, yeah, we have to wait now for Felipe to have the recording.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to your recording yesterday because I didn't cancel it.
No problem. It's that happens. It's okay.
Okay. And yeah, Jan, we'll just be real. And, if
Yeah.
there's some technical difficulty. We'll just work through it. You'll be
You can
fine.
You've
blame
been
it
in
on my
tougher.
age. I don't know.
No,
Right.
you're wonderful. You're always wonderful. So just take it from
Yes.
there.
Yeah. So let's start admitting people.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Oh, and I think I have to say this okay for the recording. Okay. There.
Hi, everyone. So, Steve, you'll do the recording to the cloud. Mhm.
Yes, I will. Yep. So welcome everyone, and apologize for keeping you waiting in the waiting room. We had some technical things to work out, and we'll get going here. Greetings, everyone. I'm Steve Kramer with the Charter for Compassion, and welcome to our little rectangles of love. Today is day 9 of our 14-day series of sessions for World Interfaith Harmony Week. Our theme this year is Living Wisdom, Meditations and Practices for a Compassionate Life. We believe that through the unity of all faith traditions, we can achieve peace, harmony, and compassion. Our intention is to be of authentic service to all of life, love in full expression, LIFE. Just as we can all open up to the same sky through windows of different shapes and colors, so are there many pathways to dancing with the divine. We ask you to dance with us today. Today's presenter is Reverend Jan Chase, Unity Minister and convener of Compassionate Pomona in California. She is very active in the interfaith scene in Pomona. She will be guiding us in I guess it's a philosophy of new thought, and provide a unity meditation on our evolving consciousness, which is inspired by spiral dynamics. Jan will be discussing through new thought the various levels of consciousness that we all move through as individuals and as humankind. This work helps us better understand where we have been, where we are, and what can carry forward with the wonderful realms of consciousness that we are unfolding into. As we accept these within ourselves, we can better accept and understand where others may be coming from, thus promoting better acceptance of different values and perspectives. This helps us walk in other people's shoes. Before I turn the stage over to Jan, however, I would like to offer a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge and honor the interconnectedness of all beings, including the cosmos, Earth, indigenous peoples, our ancestors, and all of creation. We are grateful who all came before us as caretakers of our planet. We recognize as children of the earth our responsibility to care for the lands, gifts, and relationships that sustain us. We commit to approaching every interaction with reverence, reciprocity, harmony, and compassion. In healing ourselves, we heal the world. And Jan, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Steve. That was a beautiful introduction, and it's been my joy to work with you and the RISE team for several years now, and to participate in this amazing Interfaith Harmony Week, which has been stretched to 2 weeks now, and I love that. So a little bit about me. I have been here in California I'm starting my 23rd year at Unity of Pomona Valley, or Pomona. And I am a part of the New Thought movement, Unity, religious science. There's a lot of spiritual, but not so much religious groups that have been a part of New Thought. And Steve had asked me to talk a little bit about New Thought today as I begin. So can I start sharing my screen, Steve?
Certainly. Mm-hmm.
Is it time
It
to do
is.
that? Okay, and I will go to my slideshow. There. Can you all see the
Yes, we
screen?
can.
I know it takes a little time. So Unity, this is the spiral dynamics that we're going to be talking about today. And it actually isn't a part of Unity, but Unity has adopted it. It didn't come out of Unity, but we see a good thing and we picked up on it. And so Unity is a New Thought community. As I said, it was started in 1889 when Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, and there's a picture of them there. Myrtle was diagnosed with terminal tuberculosis. She was about 35 years old. They had just married, they had started their family, and she was dying. And so they began looking for, the doctors totally gave up on her, on anything that they could do with her and for her. And there was, of course, no antibiotics back then. So they began looking for spiritual healing. And they went to a lot of different people to get an idea. And they went to one person that said, you are a child of God, you do not inherit illness. And when Myrtle heard that, she just immediately, it hit her that she had never seen herself as a spiritual being. She had only seen herself as a weak and sickly woman and girl. Even from her childhood, her family had, talked about how bad it was that she was so sick. And so she began to rethink who she was. And she began to understand then the power of her thoughts and how her thoughts affected her body. And she began to get better. And within 2 years, she was completely healed. So people around her that knew her story, that she had been dying, were like, well, what did you do? And they just really did not know how that worked. So they began studying spirituality, and they studied not only the Bible, because they lived in the Midwest. They were in Kansas City, Missouri. But they began studying the Gita and the scriptures from the Buddhists and the Quran and all of the religious thought that they could find. And they found that there was truth that ran through everything. And they began a prayer ministry. They began speaking. So that's where Unity came from. Really understanding that God is everywhere, in everything, and within us. And as we grow our consciousness that our thoughts are things, that as we use our thoughts in higher and higher ways, then we can grow into our potential as expressions of the divine. So Unity is also non-dualistic. We don't see any power in the world that takes away from God. We only see that we are not really fully expressing ourselves, and that there's a shadow in us that we need to heal. So our work is to evolve into this consciousness that we can express more and more of the divine that is within us. So when spiral dynamics showed up, I'm not sure how to forward this. Interesting.
Okay.
There.
Maybe
Okay. I had to go back and click. Yeah, my forwarding.
You can
So
use
is
a present. I think you can use a presentation button down at the bottom, left, right-hand corner.
Yeah.
And then it should give you the little arrows that go from one slide to the next.
You think I should try that again from this slide?
Yeah.
Oh,
See if that's
I see no arrows.
And if you click space, enter, what happens?
Space. Now it's going, but it wasn't when I clicked space before. You know, technology is a strange thing. So let me see if I can go back. So this is a picture also of Unity Village, which is our headquarters outside of Kansas City. And then when the book Spiral Dynamics, which is was the subtitle of the book is Mastering Values, Leadership, and Change by Edward Beck and Christopher Cowan. It is Unity ministers, some of them saw the potential for this because it's like we start here as infants or as early man. And this is kind of the different stages that we go through. And there are more stages up on top that have been thought of. And this is a theory, and that we develop through each stage and in our evolution as human beings and in our evolution as individuals. So Unity really loved the idea of understanding how we grow in consciousness. This year, with all the political divide, I am really one that loves oneness and peace. And with the polarity that I see in our country and in our families, I felt like I needed to return to some of the ideas in this theory and look at it more deeply. And so I'm doing a series at church. And what I found was that as we grow through these different mindsets or stages of evolution, we also carry them with us. And when life comes and throws us a curve, or when we're in an environment that we may be way up here at one stage, but we may be reactive, or we may need to respond from a stage that we've grown through, and that's a part of us. And so as we can understand where we are at and accept where we are at, then we can more easily understand and accept others where they are at. And we can say, well, that's where they are in consciousness right now. And so for me, it brings me back to a sense of peace. It's like, I can't fight this. I can't change this, but I can change myself and know myself and accept myself. So the spiral dynamics was really started by Claire Graves, who did a lot of research way back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And then Don Beck and Christopher Cowan came on and did more and published their book. And then other people have taken over and have taken it much further. And there's a lot of people online. If you research spiral dynamics online, there's a lot of people that are blogging about it, that have theories about it, that really draw me. And some of them are much more into the higher realms and the spiritual realms and where we're growing to. So I just have found that this is a very exciting theory. It's not perfect, but it helps us, and certainly helps me to um, be where I'm at, and to be fully comfortable where I'm at and uncomfortable where I'm at, because it is the discomfort as well as the comfort of each mindset that allows us then to be lifted into this next higher mindset. Because if you stay where you are, there's advantages and disadvantages in all of it. So it's important to be okay with the being and aware of where we're uncomfortable. So as I said this, and excuse my typos, this has, it's like humanity has evolved from caveman, basically, through different stages of learning as humans in this. It's like we start out as little babies here, and we the terrible twos or the terrible teens, and then go into different traditional modes and seek our to achieve our goals, our dreams, and then we become more aware of people around us. So there's this higher and higher growth that happens for us and each is a stage. And some people stay in a stage for their whole life. Other people are ready and willing to move on and grow, and we find ourselves in a lot. So I just want to look a little bit at, we start at this baby stage, and then we move into the purple move. And this is all color coded, which is very exciting to me. And purple is like when you're youngster, your family is your tribe. Your friends in the neighborhood are your tribe. As you get a little older, your tribe expands. But there are people that bring you a feeling of safety. Every week that I'm doing this at my church, I'm having people from our community come in and talk to us about how they work with these different stages. And when we were talking about survival stage, I had one woman who works with the unhoused in Pomona talk about how it is that people are in survival stage, and how some of them are willing and ready to grow and to be put in housing, and it works well, and other people, they just don't even know how to be housed. And so how can we mentor them? How can we help them? The next stage after purple and this tribal understanding is the terrible twos, the pushback, where we want to have our way, and we're going to have a temper tantrum if we don't. And we see this in politics. We see this in the world around us. We may see this in our children, in our bosses, in our parents, our neighbors. And then, when you're fighting all the time, if you're aware of how uncomfortable that is, you may want to move up into the blue stage, which is where you're just don't make waves. Be in a tradition, whether it's a religious tradition, a spiritual tradition, a cultural tradition, and there's a comfort and a safety to be in that. And then from there, one wants to learn to achieve one's dreams. I believe that Spirit has put dreams within us, and that we are ready to express those dreams, and that they're very spiritual, but they may look. It depends on if we're fed from the inside, in which they're very spiritual, or if we're like just wanting to be like the Joneses and be rich and have stuff. But that orange meme, that orange stage, is about focusing on achieving our dreams, on success in some way, whatever success means. And success changes as we as we age. And once we're working on success, we begin to look around and it's like, well, why isn't everybody successful? Oh, well, everybody didn't have the advantages I had. Maybe they didn't have the parents I had, or the education I had, or the environment I had, or the opportunities I had. And so you begin to think, wow, the field is very uneven. Maybe we need to have even the field. And so you begin working then for equality and equity in the world, in your neighborhood, in your country. And you also begin to be aware that what you put into the air and the water and the land, it affects you and it affects other people, and you begin to care and pay attention to what you're doing. And that's the green meme. And these are all a part of the first tier. And the first tier is very left brain. It's things that you move through it. You don't always understand that you're shifting or changing until you move up into the next tier, which starts with yellow. And then you begin to integrate. You begin to understand that there is this system, that you are moving in and out of these different mindsets, these different stages, maybe several in a day even. And but that you're mainly able to integrate, and you're able to see the integration in yourself and in others, and you begin to try to fit the pieces of the world together in your life. And then you go up into the turquoise meme, which is where you begin to really work with the heart. It's very holistic, it's very compassionate. And then there are other people that see other colors up higher and higher: coral, plum, aubergine, teal is another one. And where the heart really is the leader. In all these higher tiers, there is more and more emphasis on being inner led, spirit led from within, rather than just trying to do what the outer world tells you to do. So it's evolving into this higher and higher spiritual consciousness. And there's a little bit about the tiers. I don't know much about the third tier. In fact, very few people talk about knowing about the second tier, which is this the yellow tier and the turquoise tier. But there is there are people online that have great ideas, and that really where we get into being very intuitive, seeing oneness, following our divine guidance, opening and being really channels for love. We've seen them in the faith leaders from around the world, but now we are all growing into that, hopefully. And as through time, I think we are really seeing more and more people. In fact, I feel like I am working within our group, our RISE group, and within my community, people that are really in the second or even third tier of consciousness, which is very exciting. A part of this for me that is wonderful is that it's about psychology, and that as we gain self-awareness, we gain self-understanding. And when we can understand ourselves better, we can forgive ourselves for maybe the outburst that we had, or maybe the lack of clarity that we were showing. And then when we can see and understand and accept ourselves, it's much easier to see, understand, and accept other people where they are at. And so for me, this is a part of the beauty of this system, or this theory of understanding, because it takes away a lot of the judgment. In fact, it's seen that each tier, each level, even though it looks very hierarchical, and as you move up, you expand your mind and your understanding out greater and greater ways. there's not a lot of judgment. In fact, there's not supposed to be judgment at all about where you are or where anybody else is, but just accepting everyone where they are in their wholeness as they are evolving. And then that leads to inner peace. So as we, and I have, I don't know how, are some of you familiar with Paul McKenna's famous Golden Rule poster? It's always at the Parliament of the World's Religions. And it is really the truth that is shared by all spiritual traditions and religious traditions. And it's basically in everything, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or don't do to others what you don't want done to yourself. It's in different religious traditions. It's the same thing. And I do believe that as we go up this ladder of increasing awareness and self and consciousness, that we get to the place where we are living the golden rule. One of the interesting things about this system is as you move up the spiral in consciousness, you move from a side, one side is more feminine and is very group oriented. The other side is more individualistically oriented and is called more masculine. And so you go from the masculine survival to the feminine tribal to the masculine dominant to the feminine traditional, and so forth and so on. And so you're building understanding of yourself as an individual, and you're also building an understanding of yourself as a part of a greater whole. There's a lot of also similarities to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So I want to lead a meditation on this now. This is, as you can see, this is kind of the spiral and the way that it moves up. And so I invite you, as I lead this meditation, to just relax. You can watch the screen or just close or partially close your eyes and let your breath take you within. I invite you to let my words be your words. I have come to Earth School to evolve in consciousness. I am becoming more and more conscious of myself through mindfulness in each now moment. I am more deeply aware of my inner life. And I accept myself as I am, knowing that in doing that, I am being lifted into an even greater consciousness. I am also aware of those around me. And I allow myself to be a part of the energy of those I am drawn to. To find ways to support each other, to work together, to share wisdom, to share work. I began life as a helpless baby. My survival depended on my caregivers. And I allow myself to remember what I can of myself as a baby, maybe thinking of pictures of myself in the arms of my family. And as I begin to differentiate myself, I began to see that I was a part of other people, my family, my tribe. And I began to feel safe in this company. My tribe grew as different members of the family were introduced to me, as neighbors and friends came into my life. The world was fearful and yet magical. I may have had seen and even unseen friends. I invite you to consider and remember that time in your life. To know that even though families are not perfect, people are probably doing the best they knew how at the level of consciousness that they were in. And then I reached a stage where I wanted to know who I am, to have my needs, my wants attended to. I began to push the boundaries. I may have cried or had temper tantrums, but I began to assert my authority in some way. Personally, I remember packing a bag and ready to leave home. I was about 6 and I got to the front porch with my bag, but I didn't know where to go. So I returned. I was finding my individuality. In the red meme. But I found that that was a lot of work to push against the powers that be. And so I grew into a understanding of the blue mindset where tradition reigns. As I grew older, I found the comfort of church, expanded family, school, and the traditions of the culture that I lived in. I learned to follow the rules, to not make waves. And for a while I was content. I invite you to think on the traditions that gave you safety and comfort. And then something within me pulled me to explore the world in a new way, to begin to succeed in my dreams, to pay attention to what was calling me to do, to be, to create, to succeed. It was sports, some swimming for me. It was academic achievement. Which meant for me a lot of hard study. It was finding what I was interested in, what turned me on, what excited me, what pulled me out, which was science for me. And discovering the world beyond my narrow, small world, discovering the world beyond my narrow, small religion, discovering friends beyond the group that I had hung with. And I jumped into the orange meme of beginning to make my dreams come true and believing in myself. I invite you to notice and ponder what dreams you've had. Some of them have been probably delayed, but it is never too late to let a dream unfold. Notice the dreams you have let unfold. For me, creating a family was a dream that postponed some other dreams for a while. Let your mind bring you a sense of your success in unfolding some of your dreams. And maybe a recognition or an awareness of some of the dreams that have yet to unfold. Like Grandma Moses, it is never too late. And as I unfolded my dreams, I did look around. And I saw the inequality of the culture that I lived in. I saw racial disparity. I saw poverty. I saw things that I wanted to change. And so I allowed myself to be drawn up into the green meme. Where I could work with others to make a better society. I became more aware of toxins in my food, in my air, in my water, and how they affected me. And gradually I began to see that they affected many. And I changed my pattern, my habits. I became more conscious of what went into the air, the water, the land. from myself and my community, maybe my nation. I began to work with groups with this consciousness. I became a part of the NAACP, the Latino Roundtable, Circle of Chairs, Dialogue on Race. In my early days, I joined the Peace Corps. I lived in Venezuela and then in Zambia, Africa. My view of the world shifted living abroad. I invite you to notice when your views and how your views have opened up, have shifted, have expanded. And then at some point, I began to put it together in a new way, to see the synchrony, the synchronicity in my life, to see how all of what has happened is integrated in some way. That is the second tier. The tier where things begin to fall together in a sense of order in the universe. What I call divine order. Where I need not fight so much, but allow. Where I ask, what is mine to do now? And step out in faith and do it. This is the yellow meme of synergy. It is exciting to think how all things are working together for good, despite appearances. I invite you to think on your opportunities in the yellow meme. How you have been able to integrate all of the steps that have come before into the being you are now. And then Spirit pulls us, lifts us into the next holistic realm, where we begin to understand our wholeness within the one. The turquoise and up meme, the stage of understanding where we recognize that we are spirit led, whatever that means to us, God led, higher power led, led by the still small voice within. That we are one with all. That when one hurts, we hurt. When one rejoices, we can rejoice. We open our hearts. We feel our own pain. And others. It is not just about rational thinking anymore, but about being willing to go where we are guided spiritually, out of compassion. Compassion becomes who we are. We reach out in different ways to create compassion for ourselves, for our families, to act compassionately to our friends, our neighborhoods, our cities. Our spiritual centers. We are guided by the golden rule. And we live by that as much as possible. I invite you to reflect on this space in which we are growing into. This space where love is our vibration. connecting us one, not only to each other, but to all of creation, where we can receive gifts that we may not even understand now. That are beyond the comprehension of our mind, but nevertheless appear in and through us. I notice, and we notice, that the universe is calling us and growing us, giving us the experiences our soul needs for its growth, and giving us the opportunities that we need for the growth of consciousness in our world. Through our individual work and our work together, the world is lifted, is healed, and a sense of heaven on earth brings peace to many. I am at peace. I have faith that all is unfolding in divine order in my life, in the life of my family and friends, in the life of our political parties, our nations, and throughout the world. I invite you to allow a vision of this peace to come to you. To feel it as a vibration within your whole being. And to give thanks that you and each of us a part of a divine unfolding for our souls and for the world and maybe even the universe. And so it is. Amen and amen. So I don't know if there are any comments or questions. If any of you are familiar with this work.
I was glad that you mentioned Maslow's hierarchy of needs because that I grew up with that.
Yes.
I was in college. So I was wondering if these relate to that. And it does sound like they do, or maybe Maslow's hierarchy was sort of the gave birth to this more what should I say, more in-depth exploration of the spiral dynamics.
It I have a picture of the similarities. Let me see if I can get it on the screen. Screen share. Can you see that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So very similar in terms of, the physiological needs being primary, and then safety needs. And the first three are very much about safety in spiral dynamics, and then moving up into belonging needs and love needs, and then esteem needs, and then self-actualization, which is that whole higher tier, I think, of the yellow and the turquoise, and then beyond. It's, to me, it's very exciting and very spiritual to think of where we are going, and to see that there are many people that are down here with basic safety needs and physiological needs that we can help with, as well as the love and the belonging and the self-esteem. It all fits together kind of beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for bringing that up, Steve. Anything else you want to say about that?
Um, no, I appreciate you showing this diagram because I was thinking that, there seems to be some parallels between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if what I presented makes any sense to you, if it's helpful. It In this time, as I said, of so much drama and trauma in our political system, particularly here in the United States, it's very helpful for me to say, oh, well, he's in the terrible twos. That's that's where we're at, and that's who's running our government right now. And it's okay. We just need to do what we can do. So this too shall pass, right? And yet, what is mine to do? And I do it. And there's a lot of people that are working together. And when you work with a group of people, like-minded people, you can achieve amazing things, right? Yeah. I don't know if any of you I hate to make this too political, but Matthew Fox are any of you on his mailing list?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Well,
familiar with them, but yeah.
he has a lot of things that people can do that are in the States in his daily. In fact, the other day he said to write the U.S. Treasury when we found out that Elon Musk had the keys to the Treasury. And I did write it. And the next day it was like, okay, he doesn't have the keys to the Treasury anymore. So, it, listening and collaborating together. Collaboration is a big word for me. And that's what this is all about, right? Collaboration. And so it's just a joy and a privilege to work with all of you and to have you here and to know some of the collaborations that you guys are involved in. But compassion and being a compassionate city is huge. So,
Yes. I see we have a couple more questions.
good.
You're next, and then Shannon.
Was Fran asking?
Yeah. Okay. Your hand's raised. Okay.
Yeah, it was so interesting as you were going through the meditation of the, different levels and to think of the different people in your life or politics, and you could see so easily where people were at on that, you know.
Yes.
And then I went further of within myself with different aspects of myself, and it's like, oh, I see where I'm at in that aspect of my life, and where I want it give me a clearer picture of where I want to go from here, and things like that. So yeah, I really appreciate it. It was very powerful meditation, and I thank you.
Thank you, Fran. And that's kind of has been my reaction to it as well. To see when I get triggered, I go into like my terrible twos. You tell me what to do. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Very interesting. Uh yes. Next question.
Yeah, not so much a question as much as just a reflection. Kind of in the same line. I also was not familiar with this system, and I think like a lot of us, I arrived here with thoughts of, what's happening in the world, and having just been having this question sort of posed about, once we get through the shock and awe phase of things, how are we preparing to, set up for real systems of healing and compassion for people, and how do we start to move in that direction? And I just found the meditation and the movement through the spiral just to be just a very supportive energetic container for kind of sitting in that contemplation and that thought process. So
Awesome.
thank you.
What is your name?
Shannon.
Shannon. Thank you, Shannon. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
I was surprised to see how correlated all the different levels are, like with my own life. So each time you went through a phase and described, I did that. Oh, I was there.
Some of those memories floated up, huh?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so your memories help my memories come up, but also to correlate them to the stages. So I thought maybe everyone else is going, if we're all doing the same, now we're in our total present, aren't we?
Yes. Yes.
Now we've like brought all those scattered memories and brought them all together and bringing us down to this grounded, more aware of who I am and how connected I am to the world. So it's really, really, really nice. I appreciate it for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just encourage you to go online and explore, because there is so much that is beyond this book. And I am no expert on this at all, but I am learning.
Yes.
Yeah. Janelyn.
Something that really, really felt good to me is when you were talking about being spirit-led, and also when you were talking about the heart. I think you were talking about like-mindedness, but also what I was experiencing is heart-centeredness. Yeah, some sense of that. And as I was moving through joining you in the meditation, um, I was looking for where we're moving from like ego to echo,
Yes.
from egocentric to ecocentric, and I've been studying with a group around regeneration lately. A lot of work around that regenerative worldview,
Mhm.
and that is also connected with, or kind of weaves into, the kinship worldview, where we really look at a deeper relationship with Earth, a deeper relationship with amongst humanity,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that, yeah, how can I as a human be more connected with the more than human? I
Yes.
I see Steve here, and we've shared in courses before, and another spiral that I'm familiar with is, Joanna Macy's, and
Okay.
that
Yeah.
moving kind of somatically through through levels of awareness, and deepening that sense of connection. Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful.
I appreciate our time.
Well,
Thanks.
and it really fits, there's so much overlap in what you're saying. And yeah, it, all these systems, if we can understand them, they come together, I think, help us make more sense of our own lives. And
Yeah,
yeah.
you're talking about integration into,
Yes.
and I get the sense of weaving.
Yes.
And so the threads hold their own integrity, but it just keeps making this beautiful tapestry. Yeah.
In fact, Compassionate Pomona, one of my bylines in our meetings is weaving our community together through compassion.
It gives me, yeah.
Yeah, that's so, because it's the integration. It's like including everyone, not just the elite, not just, yeah. So
I love
thank
that.
you. It's a joy to be with you and to share. I am just a student in this, so, but I'm learning to integrate what I have learned in other places with this, because it kind of helps make some sense out of things.
Thank
Thank
you
you. I'll
so much, Jen.
definitely be repeating this one.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you all.
And thank you, Janelyn, for sharing what you did about the image of weaving and the threads coming together. I work with fibers and I've done a little weaving, so that image means a lot to me. And it's a beautiful image, but I hadn't connected it with this. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And before we sign off today, I'd like to share about tomorrow. So tomorrow's presentation starts at 1 hour earlier Pacific time at 8 a.m. and I'll be doing it. Um, so my name's Steve Kramer. I'm a co-coordinator with both the RISE sector, which is the Religion, Interfaith, and Spirituality of Earth sector for the Charter for Compassion, as well as the Environment sector. And I'm active in interfaith work here in Seattle, Washington, and a board member of Northwest Interfaith. I'm also an interspiritual minister. Um, Tomorrow, when I was thinking about what I want to do tomorrow, what came to me was that as today's world is becoming increasingly chaotic and full of static, I went back to what my spiritual teachers have been emphasizing lately, which is the importance of doing practices which help us hold steady so that we can maintain our center and stay in our hearts rather than being reactive. Some of these practices include grounding, clearing ourselves of unwanted energies, and shielding ourselves, which can also mean shielding our auras from energies and static which is outside of us, which can be harmful or very, to say the least, ungrounding for us. Tomorrow I'll be more specifically working with the energies of Mother Earth and helping connect us to that for grounding, as well as the energies of light and rainbow. And I will guide us through guided imagery techniques, which can help us thrive through these chaotic times. And I hope that you all will join me for that, and anyone who watches this video.
Wonderful. It sounds important. Thank you, Steve.
For me, it has been. So thank you all so much. And this has been really delightful. And blessings to everyone this week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great.
Any
was
last
wonderful.
words?
You
It
did
worked.
Congratulations, you're wonderful.
Yes.
Just as I predicted.
Ah,
Right.
thank you for that. I needed that prayer. Believe me.
You did great, Jan.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, really did. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was just going to say I'm one of the terrible twos.
Oh, there's a lot of terrible twos.
Stirring the pot. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I was going to ask you actually why is that actually so low? Because there are so many of us who work in an animistic way, and I was really surprised. But I didn't want to sort of ask it in the recording. But why would it be so low on the chart? Because it's kind of next to survival, whereas many of us, so from an indigenous point of view, with the cosmology, which is very animistic, is kind of way up here in my book. So why do you think they put it so low? Any
Good
reason?
question. Because it's in we go through our terrible twos and our terrible teens young, and then we grow, but we come back into that. Now, why it's there, I don't know. I guess there is a hope. I mean, personally, I see Donald Trump as being a terrible two.
Right. Yeah.
Thin ice, John. Thin ice.
He might be one step up, maybe.
Yeah. So I think what you're doing is probably, I mean, a part of it may feel like a red because are you going against authority? Is that?
Well, no. I think the animistic way of life is, point of view, is one that says life is all around us. And I don't like using this term non-living, because to me, everything has some kind of energy. So from an animistic point of view, we have words like pantheism. What's it called? Pantheism,
Yeah.
of course. And so what I would do with a kind of section like that would be to say, okay, you start with the animistic point of view, which is very much part of the community, but at a given point you raise it to this pantheistic way, which is incredibly spiritual. So I think
exactly.
if I was looking at this system again, I would say I put it kind of somewhere higher, like we've talked about the chakras. You start at this very, very low, the sort of base chakra, but then you get to the crown chakra. But the idea was, of course, and bring it back down to earth. So I think you start with animism, where perhaps, I mean, looking at it from that point of view, start with animism where you just know that life is all around you. And then as you become more and more adept as the shaman, or as the shaman actually, then it becomes more pantheistic. So maybe, as I say, there are two sides to this. There is the very grounded one where you're working with the community, but then there's another part of you which is actually doing the world, you know, the work on those inner planes.
So this is not twos. This is not red. What you're talking about, I don't think. What you're talking about is in the higher tiers.
Yeah.
Where the spiritual tiers, see, that's where you're, you know, the higher planes where you're aware of this high energy and this interconnectedness. You're not having a tantrum, right?
No. I'm just worried slightly about the narrative, because it sounds like animism is kind of low on the grade. So I'm just going to say maybe
I think it's a
but I'm just saying that for me it would be what we just said, you know, words can mean a lot.
Yeah.
And I think you're talking about a system which was perhaps I think you said in the 20s or whatever it was. So I think we do need to look at systems and start thinking which words are we using to describe certain things, and some things you can't actually put into words anyway. So, but it's interesting to see in this very graphic way of thinking, oh right, yes. So it was good for me to see that, because it gives you kind of map. And then he said, where, and I immediately said, well, I'm one of the terrible twos, but maybe.
See, I'm not seeing.
Yeah.
I think that's your system is different, but I think it's in the higher realm.
Yeah,
I don't see.
But Jan,
and again, not to let go of judgment. It's easy to judge something that looks so hierarchical. And that's one of the reasons I did not like it in the beginning, because
I can believe
you're
that.
growing from, you know, and every place you grow is higher. But and the tribalism is like not tribes that we see here now. If that's the purple meme. But that is like, yeah, so it's not a perfect system. I can just say.
No. But that's why I say it triggers this idea for food for thought, and how one of the things we're talking about now is how the narrative is changing. They're telling them the story is how important, and of course you mentioned the left brain, and of course a lot of us are now trying to move to the right brain,
exactly,
bring this harmony of both left and right brain actually working together.
Yes,
which a lot of people don't know how to do that. So that's what we're actually doing, Steve, with Sandy Hart. I think Sandy Hart, you know, she was.
I know Sandy very well.
Well, exactly. So we're doing. She's been working with Dale Allen, who wrote this really good book called In Our Right Minds. So there's a lot of viewings at the moment, and that's sparking a lot of discussion. So of course a lot of feminists are very anti-patriarchal ways, but on the other hand, like Dale is saying, it's not just a question of beating against the patriarchy. You have to start understanding how the right brain works and how can we harmonize left and right. So we've had wonderful discussions, and I think it's necessary to have these discussions where people then feel free to say, all right, the narrative is changing and we shouldn't be afraid, and it doesn't necessarily have to become political, and that's where I think it's important that it doesn't have to become political, because you're actually looking at a more we are evolving, and maybe there are some people who are just not evolving, you know, just let's leave it at that. So but it's been a good food for thought. Thank you, Jan.
Food for thought. Thank you guys very much. Thanks for your support.
Yeah,
you're welcome. I really appreciate it.
I'd like
Couldn't
to say
do it without you. Okay.
I think that the definition for animism that's on the chart is very different from how you and I, Morgana, perceive animism.
Yes, yeah.
In a spiritual way.
Oh, was animism on the chart? One of the charts that I showed?
Yes, it's at the very low level. And we're talking about two totally different things here.
Yeah, I think they're talking about something very different. I noticed that in some of the other things that they, even the tribalism, it's really the people that are involved in tribes are very high in the, you know, understanding our oneness with all my relations, right? That is a high consciousness. That is not, so I understand your question now. Thank you. I didn't understand that that I had a slide that said animism.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, I would disagree with that. I would agree with you that word should not be there.
Yeah.
There you are. And then at the
Yeah.
end of the day, we're on the same page, which is the important thing.
We are. Yeah,
Right.
definitions
I know it's
and
it can be
understanding.
really, yeah, it can be difficult, but sometimes just a couple of points, and they say, "All right, I understand what you mean." That's why dialogue is so important,
Mhm.
because
Yes.
some of the
To
things
clarify all of this.
yeah, in English, I mean, sometimes, you know, even the American English and English, it can be
Mhm.
slightly off, you know, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I said to somebody, you know, oh, I hooked up with so and so in America, and they went, oh, I thought I had a sexual relationship, and I went, oh no, I just had a cup of coffee. But
Okay.
don't use the word hooked up in America. Anyway, thanks a lot, everybody, and see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take
Yeah.
care.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Steve, can you stay on a second?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thanks.
If I can figure out how to leave. There.
You can stay. It's
That would be nice.
okay. Just to say that I'm creating a survey
Oh, okay.
that I think we can share at each of the sessions from now until Friday. No, it's the last one.
Oh, okay.
And my idea is to gather some information and testimonies and be able to share that when I give the report to World Interfaith Harmony Week about how we did.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll
Wonderful.
be sending that over some point this afternoon. I hope.
Okay.
And you can share it and you can modify it hopefully, or we can talk about it if you have any questions.
All
Yeah.
right. That sounds good. I'll look for it.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Okay. All
And
right.
then mhm.
Yeah. Will you be present tomorrow or do you have a meeting?
I think I will be tomorrow. Oh, I have a meeting halfway through it.
Okay. All right. I'll ask
Yes.
Morgana. I'll plan on recording it to the cloud, but I'll ask
Mm-hmm.
Morgana also to record it to the cloud because for
Mm-hmm.
part of mine, I might want to switch back between speaker view and gallery view.
Okay.
So that I can get a sense of, I haven't quite decided. I might, between meditations, I don't want people to go flying out too far out there. So it's like I might want to just take like one meditation at a time
Mm-hmm.
and ask if there's questions and then move
That's
on
lovely.
to the next one. And I'm thinking that's probably what I'll do to break it up. And halfway through, I'll ask people to stand up and just move a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
come back.
That's really nice. Yeah. Okay. And when it's recorded to the cloud, I do believe we get both versions, don't we?
Yes, we should.
You should get both the gallery and you can ask Felipe to bring those two recordings together to showcase.
Okay, that part I don't know about. If
Well, that's if he's willing, and if it depends how long it'll take him. I mean, he is rather loaded with work, but sometimes we can bring together. When we did it last year, we edited a lot of the videos so that sometimes you could see the whole group,
uh-huh.
and sometimes, and I did this with my daughter, but she's working at the moment. I'm not sure if she will be able to help. But
Mm-hmm.
it was quite a nice way of showing it. So sometimes it would be you, the presentation, and who's there, like as a group. So you could see the entire 15 people that are there,
Okay.
which is
All
something
right.
we don't always get. But it takes a lot of tweaking.
Okay.
But maybe we do that for like final versions, or I mean,
Mm.
at the moment we just share what we have, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Probably tomorrow I'll do it on my end, sort of going back and forth.
Sure.
And then when I'm doing the meditation, I'll have a picture up and then come
Yeah,
back to gallery view when I sort of,
sure.
have any questions and such.
Sure. And I don't, so when the recordings are made, one is made in gallery view and one is made in speaker view. So
Oh,
whoever is speaking comes up as full page,
okay.
and you don't actually ever, it comes up the recording comes out more like a webinar where you don't actually see the entire group. Have you seen the recordings that we've done up to now?
I guess I haven't watched the ones that have been put up on YouTube.
Okay, so the difference could be between, for example, session 6, 7, because I know
Okay.
6 is a group view.
Oh,
Is gallery view, it's called, and the
hmm.
other ones are speaker views. Mhm.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I have no idea what happened with, well,
One looks more
some,
professional.
right,
I think
okay,
speaker view looks a bit more
more
professional,
professional.
but
Oh,
we could always play around with both of them.
okay. I think what happened was session 6 I had, that was after you said that you were recording them on iCloud. So
Mm.
then I I just left that one recorded on iCloud, but then I
No, it's this meeting here, for example, that AI is my notes, and
right.
that is record. So
Or,
I because I pay for it, it
hmm.
is recording. So it is giving me a copy of speaker view only,
Okay. All right.
which is cool. At least it's and it gives me an easy way of trimming it, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What happened with that one though was since your AI wasn't recording, without thinking about it, I was recording and had it on gallery view
Hmm. Okay.
for a fair amount.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
or
So when
yeah,
you record it like that, it gives you what you choose. Okay,
what's on my
that's interesting.
screen, whether
That's
it's gallery view or speaker view.
okay.
So
Nice.
I think that's what happened with 6 was I accidentally left it on gallery view for
Hmm.
most
It's
for
okay.
most of it.
And still, whatever we do hand in is more than
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, the whole session is what is important. So,
Yeah.
and they're going really well. So, I'll finish this survey. You can I'll check the
Okay.
questions, modify, make suggestions, whatever, and then so we can start sharing as from tomorrow. We have like 3 days, 4 days,
Yeah.
where we can still gather some testimonies and
Okay.
information.
Wonderful. Will do. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay then.
much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.